Hey family, we are back, and so I'm so psyched up because I'm in the house with Takarra Johnson. Okay,
hey, what's happening?
And she brought a dear sister friend I just met today. This young sister, I'm so psyched to learn about it because anybody that's rolling with Takarra gotta be sharp like Takarra, and that's what I heard she was. She's been talking about you like
really.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean you've been talking about her to me.
Yeah. She knows.
So I'm so. And your name is, say it again.
Sylviana Moore.
Sylviana. I can remember Sylviana. Yeah. Sylviana Moore. Beautiful, smart, and intelligent, just like Takarra. They always say beautiful queens always run together. I tend to believe that. So Takarra, how you doing?
Hey, Mama, I'm good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mama.
So I'm going to start off with you, and then we're going to make sure you need to talk together. So here's the thing. When you really want to say something to the audience, look at that camera. Okay, you know how you watch the Bernie Mac show and he be doing something and he's like y'all know this, right? Y'all can do that. I always love that about the Bernie Mac show. I'm not going front. Move your chair over just a little bit because I want to make sure, boom, you good, and then bring yours over. Okay. Because I don't want you to ever not be, bam, you good. Don't worry about the back, girl. Okay, you good, you good. So Takarra, where did you grow up at? Where are you from originally?
I am a very proud Sacramento native. Literally have lived almost every neighborhood. Growing up, moved around a lot, but I claimed Oak Park, California as my home. But I lived in South Sacramento. I went to school in Rancho Cordova. I've been to school in Elk Grove, some of the best schools in like the east, south, northwest of Sacramento. So I'm proud to say I'm from Sacramento.
Yes.
So what about you? Where are you from originally?
Yes, so I was actually born in Mobile, Alabama, but I am and have been raised in Sacramento, California. But I currently am attending Hampton University, and I graduated in May.
Hey!
Get out of here, Hampton! That's in Virginia, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. So hold on. So let me ask you. So your people are originally from Alabama?
Yes, ma'am.
Mother or father or both?
Both.
That's what's up. What about your family?
My parents, my father's from Chicago, Illinois, and my mom is from California by way of Texas.
That's crazy.
All right, Texas, Chicago, which is up south.
Yes, yes.
That's what they call it when people.
Yeah, great migration.
Up south. I love that term. Okay, so hearing them southern roots. So y'all must have came of age about in the late 90s or the 2000s or
exactly.
Okay, what was that time period like for you all growing up?
In the 2000s, let's see.
Yeah.
Where was I? I think my most memorable year was probably my 4th grade year. That's the year after I got a relaxer, and I remember very clear because my mom said I didn't need one. And I was like, nah, Ma, I need one. This girl ponytail a little more slick than mine. You know what I'm saying? But what it came about, as I understand as an adult, was that's probably when I first started to not think I was pretty and not think I was beautiful. Okay. So I think those years for me just marked a lot of like self-hatred, in a sense of me just not really knowing how beautiful I was, not knowing where to find my beauty. I wanted a perm so bad. I cared a lot about like what I looked like and who liked me and who was like me, if anyone was. And like having to find my beauty as a Black woman, it kind of was rooted in those years. The need to find my beauty as a Black woman was rooted in those years.
Wow. What about you? I'm going to come back to that because that's very telling.
I'm going to say probably closer to the back end of the 2000s, only because high school. It was very prominent for me. I was a late bloomer, so that was a time where I was kind of talking to the most people, getting involved in the most organizations. But I will say it was difficult. It was definitely difficult, the identity thing. I had a problem with it as well, not thinking I was beautiful enough, smart enough, not knowing exactly what I was interested in or kind of where to even find people who were successful or doing great things. So I definitely had the same challenges, the same struggles.
Where did y'all get a lot of that? And y'all, you can put your questions in here, I'll type it in, but where did you get that idea of your beauty standard from? Like, where is that something that was in your house? Was it on TV? What was out at that time?
Right, I'm trying to think who's on TV. Who's on TV? Raven Simone.
Yeah, media.
Raven Simone. That was Disney Channel. We was all in that.
That was
Sierra. Proud Family. It was all light-skinned women with straight hair. Okay. Children cartoon. Down to the cartoon. It was light-skinned with a good hair. Lots of
I was Disney kid.
Right.
He was what?
A Disney kid.
Disney
and that was most,
Disney Channel, Nickelodeon.
So it wasn't just Mickey Mouse no more?
No. That was
MTV,
MTV, right. We was on VH1, all type of stuff. VH1.
Bad Girls Club.
That's when reality TV really got popping.
Yes.
That's when reality TV really got popping. I think the first one was Bad Girls Club. Then we had College Hill.
Right.
Then we had
Basketball Wives.
Basketball Wives. Real Housewives of Atlanta.
What was the one? There was some Black show, Baldwin Hills.
Oh, Baldwin Hills.
That was that. Right.
Yes.
So what y'all are giving me, that's why I'm asking y'all this question, as I'm y'all see me doing a bunch of stuff here, but it's funny that you're saying that. So you mean to tell me some of those ideas that you got in terms of beauty imagery? It's funny because I'm listening to y'all, but in my era, because I'm quite older than y'all, I remember watching hip hop videos. And when we watched hip hop, those videos were really new, just being introduced, whatever. All the girls in the video, I'm talking about black videos, not white people. Black videos, they were all mixed girls or light girls. And so if you didn't look like that, then you was like, I think that was my turn off from hip hop at a certain point, and I started just listening to the stuff. But how did you see that coming through in your generation with those imagery?
To be honest, I think with the media, social media, just internet just as a whole was really prominent at that time. So I would say it was very competitive, just with friends or even just trying to figure out who was better than one another. I feel like that was kind of the biggest thing. What about you?
I think that manifested that kind of lack of self-love and kind of identity discombobulation, as I like to call it. It was, a lot of that manifested through the way you treated people who look like you. So I had very few black friends growing up. I really didn't start to get my black friends, my real friends that loved each other and loved what we looked like, until I came to love myself. And that came a little later. So I was in middle school and elementary school. I was kicking it with Asian kids. I was kicking it with Mexican girls. The same Mexican girls that was calling me cochina and telling me my hair was nappy and I looked dirty. I was like, I wanted to be accepted by them because, one, I lived in and while I was younger, I lived in South Sacramento, so it's a heavy Asian and Mexican population. A lot of the black girls didn't even get along unless they was fighting. So we really didn't respect representations or reflections of ourselves to really know how to love each other. But a lot of self-hatred was manifested in how we treated people that looked like us.
You know, I think I struggled as well, just because my mom, for the most part, I was in the best schools. I mean, elementary school was mostly Asian, Caucasian. Middle school, I went to Sutter, the same demographic. So it wasn't until Sac High, my high school, where I was really
black people.
Exactly.
Right.
And at first, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't as welcoming as I wanted it to be. So for somebody who really didn't already know what to identify with, it was very difficult. It was a hard transition, and I think harder than it probably should have been, just because I was with my brothers and my sisters.
Right.
So where did you start to get this love of your blackness and the way you look? Y'all, first of all, y'all beautiful. First of all, absolutely beautiful. Where did you start to like really embrace that or learn about the beauty and the rich history and culture that you are a reflection of?
I would say through mentorship. I had a really great mentor. When I got to Sac High, I met someone named Ijoma, and I would say he changed my life entirely. I was in a lot of organizations at City Hall where he brought me in and really allowed me to see the reflection of successful Black people. And honestly, it tapped into my love for it. I then said, I'm going to an HBCU. I don't know which one, but I'm going to one of them. So I went on an HBCU tour, actually in Sacramento, and I went ahead and fell in love with Hampton University, Howard, Spelman, just the vibe. I'm seeing great people do amazing things. I'm talking well, just exemplifying greatness. And so then I chose to attend Hampton University, and since then, I mean, I can't turn back.
I love it. What about you, Takarra?
I think I started to love myself, or started to explore the idea of loving myself, when I met Miss Yolanda Wilkins of Earth Mama Healing Incorporated. She was amazing. I think I met Mama Rowe when I was going to Fernbacon Middle School, and she had the after-school program. It was called We Girls. We were being here every Tuesday and Thursday after school, and there was nothing but Black girls invited. It was all the girls you was fighting with on the schoolyard. You had to come, and Mama Rowe was going to sickle out all the problems right there in front of your face. So I think having to confront this idea of beauty that's been so foreign to you, or having been presented as something that belongs to you in the space of other women who are doing the same, something about that is very powerful. And so we were all very young, all kind of looked the same, came from the same place, but never really had interacted with each other in a sense that was healthy. So that's kind of when I first had started. Secondly, also, I would agree that my mentorship and just having images of women that are there that I didn't necessarily engage with until I knew how to, but they were always there. People like April Malding, people like Sylviana, Miss Mariana, people that had been in and out of education, and like Black educators that I kind of knew or didn't actually take their class directly, or I just seen them in campus or run around, but Black people just being positioned around me, so that when I did wake up, it was like, okay, I need to start messing with Black people more. They were already in position to kind of manifest that vision of us all supporting each other. So I will say I've been blessed to say, that's why I'm proud to say I'm from Sacramento, because we have so many Black people really with their feet on the ground, and I'm a product of that.
Wow. So with that being said, what were some of the your high school years? How did you face when people were trying to make you dummy down because you really were brilliant?
Okay, that's a great
question. Because I hear young people talk about that a lot. It's like, wow.
I will say that I went to Sylviana. Me and Sylviana both went to Takarra. Yes. So they got this whole reputation for being like the echelon of high school, very college preparatory, very high. So that kind of mediocre, low-level thinking was frowned upon there. The best and the brightest were known to go to Takarra. Like, you knew you was going to Takarra because you wanted to go to college and you had a future predestined for yourself.
Exactly.
So when people tried to dumb you down, and even not just people, because I don't want to make it something to blame someone for, when society would tell you that it wasn't cool to be smart, or when society would tell you that you could hustle and do things else other ways, one way that I continued to be brilliant was that it was something that a love for learning is something that was instilled in us young. So I never took no for an answer. When people would say, "Oh no, that's too hard. We don't want to do that," it's like, "No, we can figure out a way." Being committed to a solution, being committed to seeing things through, and knowing that you are your only resource in some places. Like, if you don't do it, it won't get done. And kind of having that mindset and then not allowing yourself to fall into mediocrity, I think is a way to kind of defeat that.
Did you ever come in contact with any teachers who didn't think well of you?
Oh, definitely. And I love them. I wish I could shout them out.
Yeah, we ain't going to shout people out. But what did you do with that? Because a lot of our young people are facing teachers. Yeah. I hear some kids say, this person don't really like none of the black kids. And they kind of all flip like, how is that possible that all y'all have the same experience? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So how do you, yeah.
Okay, so let's really break down the school we went to. So it was a black demographic. Students that were black went there. Right. But all the teachers were white. So they kind of have this white savior mentality of that if they don't go to the school where these white administration then they won't have a future. So while we were kind of had these high expectations and had a lot of these things predestined for us, also there were people kind of knew or thought that they had to sell you short before they can build you to be better. And so a lot of my classrooms, there were students who were struggling. There were students who needed extra assistance, who didn't have educational opportunities that I had and needed to go a little bit further to help, but I was not one of those students. So when teachers would kind of treat me like I was a delinquent or treat me like I was bad, I would just let my grades speak for themselves. And I also was very vocal about challenging what they thought about me and making sure that I kept my head high. And I say that it's a cliche, but I really kept my head high. I would not let them see me cry. I was very frustrated by a lot of my white administrators. I would argue it to the death because I was done in blue in the face. I would never let them put a narrative in my mouth or let them tell me who they thought I was. I would always challenge them, and I continue to always be the person that was raising my hand, always vocal, never quiet, in the front of the classroom, just because I knew the story they were trying to paint about who we were as students. And I also knew who we really were. So in the vein of truth and the spectrum of authenticity, I had to be real to who I was and who my students were. We weren't bad kids. We were from Oak Park, but we were not dumb. And we were not weak, and we were not complacent. We had very brilliant, intelligent minds. But when you come into an institution that's used to kind of propelling students that they think come from nothing, or that actually come from nothing, and they think they know how to get students to go further, and there's kind of a poor and mediocre mindset to think, no, we are brilliant. We came into this institution brilliant, and if this institution works, it will foster our brilliance. But that's what we have to fight for.
What about you?
Well, I will say my mother did not take the traditional route. She did not attend college, but she always, as Takarra said, instilled in me that education was the most important key, and that you can do anything if you have education. So she would always put me in outside organizations. I, too, was in Delta Gyms. I, too, was in City Hall programs as well, and even was very active in high school. So I really kept myself busy. I worked. I paid for my car. You know, it was more so kind of like, where am I trying to get? Now, I will say, attending High, when most administrations are Caucasian and not of ethnicity, I did feel, especially when trying to make my decision to attend HBCU, that it was not good enough or it was not up to standard. Yeah. It wasn't until that I went to an HBCU that I realized that, okay, there is growth and development and nourishment in this environment. So, yeah.
What is Delta Gyms?
So Delta Gyms is a program full of African-American women who talk about health, education, kind of keys to success. I personally was able to develop a lot in that program just because I was around African-American women who were older than me doing amazing things, and also women or young adults who were my age who also had ideas. They had just a different type of mindset. So it was a really great place for me to ask questions and get involved.
All right, that's good to know. Let's put that in there.
I just shared the code, so everybody who's watching, make sure y'all tap in.
And please share the show, y'all. We trying to. I have this thing where I want to hear stories. I want to hear what's going on. Y'all young women. How old are you ladies?
I'm 20 years old, to be 21 on January 27, 2018.
Yes, and I just turned 21 on September 1st.
Wow. So question, how did you two meet each other? Did y'all meet each other?
Takarra.
Yes.
And it's crazy to say how we met because I really didn't meet Sylviana directly. It was like, if you was moving and shaking as Takarra, you just knew other people who was moving and shaking. So it wasn't like, he was like, hi, Sylviana, I'm Takarra. Like, she was doing something, I was doing something. I was like, what's up?
Right.
What you got going over there, girl?
We gonna be friends.
We gonna be
collaborate.
We'll figure it out. And just, to be honest, our relationship has grown more outside of Takarra. I think that's just what kind of where we met. But we do more work now as adults in college than we have like as students at Takarra.
So let me ask you this. So how did y'all, I don't want to say escape, that's not the best word. How did y'all avoid getting caught up in some of the trauma or drama that people think about when they think about young Black women? Because so much of our culture is inundated with reality TV shows and young and pregnant or whatever the damn show is. But you know, like when you think of something like fast, or, and I'm using that word because that's the terminology that people use, where you're not pregnant, you don't have a bunch of kids, y'all went off to college, y'all didn't have boys, and, you know, like how did y'all get steered through that whole piece?
Most definitely. I think a lot of that stuff only manifests and it festers when there's nothing else there. So I was very blessed to be full of knowledge of self. I knew who I was. And that's why I challenged what I seen, and that was supposed to be a representation of who I was. Like, I was like, no, I never liked reality television. Like, I never liked it. I think I may have watched it because my family was watching it, but it's something I always has, like, I never thought that was me. And segue into what we're going to talk about later, when I was in Africa, I was in, they was watching Black Ink Crew on TV, and it was like, man, this is y'all, and I was like, no, that's never us. But being able just to know who you were at a very young age, and then being blessed enough to have spaces made for you to express that, and knowing and seeing yourself in other people. Like when I seen Sylviana, I knew she was a boss, and I was like, okay, I'm a boss too. So what's up? What we gonna manifest out of this bossness? And not hating and not allowing it to intimidate me, but also being inspired by that. It's one of my friends that keep me sharp on all my areas. If there's anything I need to improve, Sylviana will let me know. But I didn't allow that to scare me away. I seen that as a tool, and I wasn't intimidated. I didn't allow that, you know, kind of initial scared, like, oh my gosh, this is another strong woman. How do I do? What do I do? I didn't allow that to stop our kind of us being friends and sisters now.
That's what's up. What about you?
I will say, just with the stereotypes, I held on to the 5%, the small percentage of women who are doing great things. I too agree with it. If that's all you know, that's all that you see. I think that if you inquire or want more and try to find those who are already doing it, you can open up a whole nother set of doors or mindset by itself. I remember just having a travel abroad experience in Paris, and even just that alone was like, okay, there's people out here, there's more, there's just so much more.
There's so much more, and I think we minimalize our brilliance by thinking that this is all we are made of, and we don't allow ourselves, to actualize our full potential, thinking that this is all that we have to offer, and seeing the one thing and thinking that's the only way to be a Black woman. We see one thing and we think, okay, that's how Black women are. We sum ourselves up just like other people sum ourselves up. We don't really give ourselves a chance to really grow and become more, obtain more knowledge, do our things, do opportunities, connect with each other, love each other, show each other unconditional favor, looking out for people, like the way that if Jewish people need jobs, they call their uncles and they get jobs. We don't do that. So we're trying to become that and be able to do that for our babies that's coming after us.
So Takarra, tell me, did you go to Africa too?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I will though.
Okay,
soon I will soon.
How did you? What made you? You've been to Africa twice. So what made you go to Africa? Like, what was that? Was that a part of your dream? What made you want to even do that as a journey?
Definitely. So coming into the knowledge of myself and like loving myself happened by way of, again, Miss Miranda Wilkins. So when I was like 14, I think I was 15, my girl paid for me to get my ancestry done. And my top result, I was 84%. You feel me? From the right. I was 84%. It was high. That's a B plus. So I was Ghana, and Ghana was the first region that came up. So ever since I was 15 years old, I have been saying like I'm a Ghanaian, and we go out there with the idea that like every black person would be coming to wokeness. She's like, I'm not American, I'm African with a K. You know what I'm saying? And we dismiss a whole bunch of other stuff. We dismiss a whole bunch of stuff. I was very focused on getting to Ghana because I had seen that in my ancestry and it made my lineage very much so tangible and piece of paper I can see and trace back to. So Ghana was my destination of choice.
Yes.
So what was it like when you first went? Your first trip, not the one you just came from.
First went,
the first one.
Let me close my eyes so I can go back to paradise. No, but I closed my eyes because I remember what it was like getting off the plane. And in Ghana, the terminals are not directly connected to the gates. So when you get off the terminal, you have to catch a bus that takes you to the gate and lets you get off. So my first interaction with people from the continent was at the bus that was taking us to the gate to get to the terminal to go out the airport. And I was just smiling. And I was just looking around like, oh my God, I'm here. Everybody's black. And I think that was my first thing. Like I was tripping off the fact that everybody was black. And someone, an older gentleman had touched me. He said, oh, this your first time? And I was like, yeah. He said, welcome home. And so like for me, it was warm, and I had passed through Belgium. My layover was in Belgium, and it was cold in Belgium. Everybody was cold. The heart, the weather, the people, the skin, everything was cold. Everything was cold about Belgium. And so I was just so like, oh my gosh, Lord, please let me get home. Let me get to Ghana safely. And as soon as I got there, the air was warm. The people was warm. People was asking me if I was okay, asked me if I knew how to get to where I was going. Did I need a taxi? So hospitable, so loving. And I was like, this really felt like home. And so I was just very comfortable. Initially getting off the flight from the airport, I was so trusting. I probably overpaid my taxi driver. Now that I know it, I know I overpaid him because I only had American dollars, and he was going to charge me about like 40 of the currency there, which is like 4.8 exchange rate in relation to the dollar. So I paid him like 80 Ghana cedi for a 15 Ghana cedi ride. Oh wow! But you know that was my investment. Right. You know what I'm saying? I did the math now, bruh. He's good, but I got a taxi ride. Brother came up to me and said, "Where you going?" I was like, "I'm going to the Agu hospital." He's like, "I'll get you there safely." And I paid him because he took good care of me, and I was never scared for my life while I was in Ghana.
So Sister Danielle was watching. I don't know if it was Danielle Williams, but she was an activist here. And
Danielle!
She watched.
She got the best head wraps.
Yep, yes she do.
The best head wraps.
Yes she do.
My birthday coming up, girl.
She wants to know, what did you learn about yourself going to the motherland? What you learn about yourself? That's a great question.
Let me think about it for real, so I won't say something
great question
off the top of my head. I really learned one, that I'm resilient. I traveled both times by myself without an instructor. I went to study abroad the first time with like a class, but both times I had traveled by myself. And so I was like, I had flights delayed. I had to kind of navigate through that, but I was so determined to get there that nothing could have stopped me. So one, that when I really put my mind in, and even before I got to Africa, if I tell the story about how I had to raise the money, how I had to secure my passport multiple times, how I had to get a visa, and like going through all of those steps, like that was a battle in itself. So following through and sticking to it showed me that I can really do anything I put my mind to, firstly. Secondly, I would say that it showed me that we are way much more alike to our brothers and sisters than different. And then that we are told. I was there and eating food that I felt like my mama could have made, or some stuff I was trying to get my mom recipes back because I just felt so tied and connected to the culture. The way in which we reverence our elders, very much so an African thing. The way in which we honor people who have passed or gone before, very much so an African thing. And not even just an African, but a Ghanaian way. The way that was Ghanaian people in that country honor their parents and honor their loved ones. I think it was very much so connected, and it made me remember that we are direct descendants of those people. And I learned about myself that it's just so much now. I have to really go back to really dial into it. But more than anything, I guess the overarching lesson was that we belong in Africa. I belong in Africa. I belong in Ghana. There's work to be done there, and the work that is to be done there is to be done everywhere Black people exist. So there's just more work to do. I think that more than anything, that there's more work that we could be doing, that we are intelligent, brilliant people, and that brilliance is not specific to any one group of African people. That every African person is a brilliant mind, has a brilliant mind, and we just have to do more about cultivating our brilliance.
So this last trip, what was this last trip about? Why did you go? How was it?
Okay, so the last trip, I was going to see about graduate school. I'm getting ready to graduate from University of California, Davis in 2019. And my bachelor's in American Studies, African American Studies, and Education. So I want to be an educator, and I know that I have to get my feet on the ground for like a residential, have a teaching assistant program. So I know also that I want to study and do that in Ghana. So I have a wonderful sister whose name is T. Williams, who also studied abroad in Ghana. But we are both coming back to kind of see, like, sis, if we don't really go to school in Ghana and do this, who do we have to meet with? What do we have to do? How much money is it going to take? But we really couldn't figure that out unless we were there. So I was blessed enough to have professors, shout out to Dr. Holly Samari and Laura Ademojubi, that hooked me up with some really good people in Ghana and kind of set up with connections. Just Tia had reached out to some of her connections. I had got some of my connections, and we were eager about getting back to Ghana to actualize, like, what would it be like to live in Ghana, to go to school in Ghana, to pursue education and employment out here in Ghana. And this last trip was kind of seeing what it would take to live there and to study there.
What did you discover this time?
This time, first and foremost, I discovered that we belong there, we can live there very easily, that the cultures are not that different, and that we have way more to offer than we think, and that we are very rich and full people. Also, that to go to school there would take a lot of money and a lot of preparation, but it's not impossible. So when I went and we visited the university and talked to the administration officers, I would be considered an international student in Ghana, so it's just very expensive because the tuition is almost double. But what we can do to build there. I actually built with academic interest and came out with like economic and business interest and artistic interest. I went for school, but I had when I went there, I had the opportunity to be on the radio. They had played some of my music. And so I got to tap into a lot of other ways I did not know yet that fit into my life, that also connected me to the continent. So I went for school and then figured out that, no, actually I can develop my art here. Actually, I can develop my love for women and women empowerment here. I can develop all of these different venues that kind of came about as I was focused on the education and academic. So much more came about in my training.
So what is your art? What is your talent? What is that?
So I'm a writer. I'm a poet and a rapper. And I like to spit poetry, and I like to teach children how to write poetry.
So I want to have you spit, but I want you to spit into this.
Okay.
The drums is loud.
Okay.
But this has a speaker on it. So
hold up. Ooh. And we back.
Okay. So give us some of your stuff. You know, give us something. Give us something. You have some pieces that I love, but you know, spit something that people can hear what it is that you do.
I always wanted to be married. I always pictured my big day, the white dress and bridesmaids, groomsmen and pink color shades. I could see it all happening. Me walking down the aisle with my husband accompanying me next to my king. What a beautiful sight to see. But every boyfriend since then has failed to play that leading role. From church boys to street thugs, perverts to wannabes, I just want to be happy. Always finding myself so short because I haven't found a man that can make that happen. A soul brother who's rich in his history, not afraid to love me out of my misery. Take me, feel me, love me, heal me. I wonder how many queens are waiting for these kings, and how many kings actually know they are kings. Insecure, ignorant, but still powerful, real life beasts. But let a beast show his teeth in this country. He's been diagnosed with ADHD. Incompetent teachers can't hold his attention. Well, maybe he's attention deficit, or maybe his attention is stuck on a 1776 slave ship. Hidden history gems would explain his behavior. All alone when your father's gone. What's a kingdom without a king in the home? And your prince ain't been the same since. And it's all making sense why these dudes could never love me. Never seen their father love their mother lovely. Good Lord help me. I'm trying to love a breed of men who have never loved themselves. Culturally deprived black men, misrepresented and emasculated in the media. The only time we see black men on television is for controversy or for media attention. Beautiful black men. He's a seed, desperate for us. He's a hole, desperate for a seed sown, and I can't wait to be grown and watch my son raise a beautiful black man and call himself king. Rise, my king, and claim your throne.
Whoa, Takarra, why are you playing? Wow. What inspired that piece? I can make an assumption, but What inspired that piece?
Always feeling incompetent in relationships with Black men. And feeling like you can go hard as you could, but there's always something that wasn't good enough. Or is it me or is it you? I don't know. I see your brilliance. I know you're brilliant, but you're not really doing all you can to be brilliant. So is it me or is it you? Or is it society? And so I guess it kind of came out to be like this whole, I believe, and I wrote that very young. I was very young. I think I wrote that when I was like maybe 17 or 16. It was only like 2 boyfriends I had at that age. I was deep. Like, I think both these men got the same problem. But it was just, I think I was really so on thugging it through, for lack of a better word, thugging it through with Black men and kind of being committed to them, but also knowing that sometimes that's not safe for me. To be committed to loving a man who didn't love me, or to be committed to someone who didn't really love themselves, and how that manifested as a 17-year-old girl. That's what sparked out.
What are y'all views on Black love? Just curious.
Go ahead, Sylvia. I've been told.
Oh my God.
Just what y'all views on Black love? Because I want to know what young people think about that. You know?
I mean, I haven't had too many examples of Black love within just the community of my family, or even in society. I haven't seen too many examples of it. So to be honest, it's quite foreign. Now, do I want it? Do I aspire to be it? Yes, but it's kind of difficult to be something you've never seen, or never seen genuine or pure. And I will say that in our generation, it makes it very difficult to love at all. And love Black is even more of a challenge.
We'll talk. Wow, what about you, Takarra?
Oh, Black love is so essential. It is the beginning, the end, the alpha, and the omega. I believe that the first people on this earth are Black, and they gave birth to the rest of the world. So my due diligence and paying that forward means to recreate that. I understand that, like, everyone is not fortunate enough to find it, and to have it, and to keep it, and to consider it a treasure. But it's definitely something I believe in. Black love is something that people need to see is healthy. And Black love is not just romantic. I think this is Black love. Sisters coming together and showing love and seeing the image of like this unity amongst Black people. Black love is unity. Black love is supporting Black businesses. Black love is like finding a partner that's Black, and making a kind of like communal agreement between your partner that we gonna put on for our community. We gonna make sure that everything that happens between us is for the greater good of our people. That's what Black love is about.
So I'm gonna throw this out there. How do y'all feel when you hear the stats that say 70% of Black women are not married or partnered? It don't say that we don't have children. It just says it just says 70%. And so, I mean,
now that you,
that's not heavy. Because y'all are beautiful, brilliant sisters.
I think to me, it's 2 things.
Okay.
2 things, and it's accountability for us. Either way it goes.
Right.
But I would say 1, we don't require it or acquire it. That's a problem.
We don't require marriage. Right.
At all. Especially, I mean, people of our age, I don't hear it, talk about it. A commitment at all is not a thing. It's a talking, texting. Right. That's just the whole. There is no what it used to be at all. There is no tradition, none of that. So I would say that's the first reason. And then also the second reason,
good observation.
I would say, to be quite honest, Black men, they have a lot more developing to do. And I think sometimes Black women, alpha women, successful, great, brilliant, amazing, beautiful Black women can be, I don't want to say even too much. I don't want to say too much to handle, but I don't think that, I don't know, like they just maybe are too, I don't want to say even scared.
I don't know. I will say this. Okay, you done, sis?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I got a couple different ideologies.
Okay,
there's a lot going on. It's a lot, and it's very deep because we're very deep and complicated people. So let's not think it's an easy, it's a couple answers.
That's so true.
It's a lot going on. So first and foremost, I would say that there's an infatuation with having mixed babies. So mixed babies are having like having children that look like they can be something else. Black people got an infatuation, like I'm Black, I'm Portuguese, I'm this, because we don't value Blackness. So I think a lot of that comes back to just not thinking that Blackness is enough. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of these men that got white wives got Black side chicks, or got Black women that they still are very close to because they need to be connected to Black women. So I don't really think that the lack of Black women not being married is not Black women's problem. I will also say that we get very stuck in like heteronormative practices. So we think that because Black women can't marry Black men, that they should just be single. That's not true. A lot of Black lesbian couples are flourishing. There are a lot of Black lesbian couples that are going through, a lot of Black homosexual couples. So we just got to open our mind about what we think can happen with a Black body. So, and I think the reason why Black women in general are not married, or at lower rates not married, this is something that has not been, like Sylviana said, a requirement. My mother was married, and I was raised at home when my mother was, with the Black man until my father passed away. God bless his soul, R.I.P. Dad. For me. But for the most part, it wasn't about marriage being something connected to like business or success or economic growth. Like I didn't learn about marriage being something to kind of develop your finances and everything else until as an adult. We've seen something like a man who loved you and treated you the best, even if you were broke, could be your husband. We have this very deep-rooted allegiance to Black men. So I think once we kind of let that go and see marriage as it's in its entirety, as everything it can offer, the love, passion, but also the financial and economic stability. Someone that can be my counselor, and somebody who really takes his time.
Say that part slow.
Yes, Lord.
Okay, so Black marriage can be everything, but also it can be financial, economic stability, mental and emotional support. Not just this idea that we are these trophies that are to be assigned to these Black men to look good next to, because that's kind of over.
Or take care of us.
To take care of us. That's my second point. Another reason why Black men, in my little world, where I can see why some Black men don't feel, I'm not going to put that on Black women. Black women not being married, I'll say this again, it's not Black women's problem. Because I'm not going to be out here begging nobody to marry me. Look. I'm not going to be out here begging nobody to marry me. And it's not, I'm not also to say at the same rate, I feel like we don't put enough pressure on our Black sons to marry Black women. Even if, like my brothers dated all kind of women when I was younger. They had white girls, they had Mexican girls, there was all type of women. And again, talking about how we see our beauty reflected in places. Me in a relationship or we in a marriage wasn't always reflected around me. And my mom and my dad was a very good example. And they knew each other for a very long time, but in my immediate connection of friends, my Black homeboys had Mexican girlfriends. To this day, some of my homeboys won't even talk to Black girls. So when we talk about how much pressure, let's not make it a Black woman thing, but why are Black women married? Let's ask Black men why Black women not getting married. Let's ask some of these brothers that got Black mamas why these Black women not getting married. Because I'm not going to be up here checking for nobody. I got friends now, it's 2018. It's 2018. We on to next. So I'm going to let all these brothers out here know. That you can get us together or we gone. Okay? We ain't taking no more jet. I'm saying somebody who's Black. So I'm not saying it don't work, but I will say that I'm done asking why y'all not in our arena. We're done asking or waiting for a Black man to come find us like, Rapunzel, throw your hair out. You know what I'm saying? Done. It's new year.
So hold on, Takarra. Hold on. First of all, these sisters is 20 and 21.
Right.
So that's just like, sometimes we like to think young people just don't know nothing.
Right.
And what they know. These is not them two.
Right.
That's number one. And I think we have more young women like this in our community. But we don't like to support women like this because that means sometimes people who are my age got to step our game up. Not just get out the way, I get that. But that means when you on your game, that means my game got to be up.
Right.
I can't be like telling you, just get a brother a chance and he ain't really about his game.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Period.
Well, that means I got to up my game. You just told me I got to make my son account.
Most definitely.
I'm just saying. So you got some responses in this room. Somebody said preach. Another sister said get it to Takarra. Speak on that, Takarra.
Hey,
That's what the person said.
Hey, Auntie Mariana.
Yeah, everybody's up in this room today with y'all. So look here, they made some awesome points for young folks. Now, I'm not talking about people my age. I'm 46. These are the sisters that are 20 years old. And the interesting thing about what y'all saying is, you say that what says conviction is not a viciousness at all. It's kind of like, why does have to be our issue?
Right.
Well, we never put, that's like in a lot of stuff, though. We're just talking about abortion right now. It'd be all a woman. Like when I see stats that say Black women's killing our babies, hold up now, because how she get the baby in there?
So, period.
Right, so you just don't go get yourself pregnant. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that being said, Takarra, how do you think, and even with you, dear sister, how do you think we produce that next generation of men who will be all of those things you talk about?
Just by doing it. I think I cannot wait to be a mother. And Mom, I watched you closely how you have so many young men in your family that respect Black women. Like this is I know your nephew Chavez is married a Black woman. He got strong Black women in his family. So I think it's just created, and it's not, and I don't want to say it as if like it's something that we're going to be very strategic about. Like when Hitler was trying to get the Armenian race made, he was making people force breed. It's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
What I'm saying is when you naturally love yourself, that love manifests in very different ways. So I'm not asking Black men to do nothing that's against what you're doing. Like if you love Black women, go out of your way to show that love, my brother, and make sure you do it respectfully. But I will say that when we recreate those images of love, like I will marry a Black man. My children will be Black, and they will see what it's like for Black people to love each other, not just from my marriage, but the way that I treat Black men around me. So if I have a Black husband, I'm not calling Black men niggas outside of this marriage. I see Black men, I show love. When I see Black women, I see Black people, period. Because we love each other and we believe that Black lives matter. So we have to really go out of the day-to-day what we think that looks like to show and express that. We have to do that 10 times over because so much of our worth has been removed from our conscience. You know what I'm saying? Our value has been removed from our conscience. So we got to work 3 times over to let our people know, like, baby, I love you. I'm walking on the street. I see somebody walking. It's like, how you doing, Queen? Looking good, Queen? I'm loving the hair wrap, loving the fro. Okay, because we just got to love ourselves so much harder to make up for what was lost. Right. So for me and me producing my Black son, he probably gonna be what you say, Mom? Black as 1,000 midnights. He probably gonna be black as a black. My daughter's gonna be black as 1,000 midnights too, and they're gonna learn to love themselves. That's gonna be revolutionary in itself.
Wow, what about you?
I agree. There's nothing that I don't agree with in that statement. It does come from examples. Everything you are is what you see, so I couldn't disagree.
So Sister Shannon Scott said, what do you need the elders 30 and older, that's how she's rating elders, to know about your generation? What can we learn from you? That's a great question, dear sister.
Let me see. Okay. Before I answer this question, I do want to say that my mother's older. So my mother was 58 years old. So that 30 kind of generation is like my cousin. So let me really think before I say, if you want to go first.
What can they learn from us? I'm not gonna really say what can they learn from us. I would just say just the creating the environment to talk, to conversate. I will say that a lot of my decisions have been because I've talked to older people. Like, I don't want to make any mistakes if I don't have to. I mean, I know naturally there will be some, but if I can talk to someone who's already doing great things and learn from them, I will do that. And I think it's just the conversation or relationship to kind of show that both ways. If there's something that you're willing to learn from me that maybe I'm accomplishing and I'm doing, then hey, what can I help you with? Or what, your website, anything at all. So I think that just goes in the development and nurturing environment and community between women, old, young, it doesn't really matter.
Me too. I will also,
as well.
So what would I say? I think for 30-year-old people, that's not, first of all, we got to get our mind out of the constraints of time and age. I really feel like a lot of those 30-year-old people, I've connected with some people that I felt like they're 30, but they felt like they was my sister because we went through so much of the same things. So I will say that as we honor our elders and we do recognize how to respect people that's older than us, I think we should also kind of break some of those age barriers down and get real with young people and get where they at. If we sit on the bus stop, you feel me, like, come over and have a seat next to us. That's just how we're doing. It's human nature, really. It's not nothing more than what you would do to go make a new friend or go to just like show support. What I would love to see from 30-year-old people or people that is older than us is just like the removal of judgment or the removal of assumed judgment. We think that older people think that we're messing up. Especially black older people, they won't even come up to you in the store, but they'll give you that look like, look at this old heifer out here. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just more like we gotta bridge those gaps backwards and forward, and we gotta make sure that we know that we love each other. So like, to some people, I'm older than a lot of young women. I work with children, so I work with a lot of black girls, and so I be up in there like I'm their best friend. Like, what's up, Juju? What you doing? How you doing today? How was school? And we're just talking as if we're friends. It's not about me telling her what she should and should not be doing. It's not about me assigning judgment on her life. It's really about me caring about her and asking her. Like, just thank you, Miss Shannon, for the question. I need my hair here soon, Miss Shannon. You see what I'm looking like? You see what I'm looking like, girl?
I love it.
But Miss Shannon Scott is actually a wonderful example of that because Miss Shannon Scott was at my high school. She used to come to Sac High and give talks. So like just making yourself readily available to young people and letting us know that you're only a phone call away, and people in the community that have done that get the calls. Once you tap into young people tap into you. That's I know who I can call when I need something. I know if I don't know who to call, I can find out because there's older people who have already made it very clear that they got my back.
Sister Shannon said, God said, I got you, baby.
Look,
and then Sister Mariana says, we here, we got you.
Hey.
And this Sister Daisy,
Daisy.
She said, right though, let's hold everyone in the Black community accountable. Mothers, check your sons. Fathers, guide your daughters. Sisters, correct your brothers. Brothers need to educate our sisters as well. Let our responsibility as a community hold each other accountable. I had to say that. Sister Mariana basically posed a question. I'm sorry, I didn't forget your question, sister. She said, do you see value in courtship as opposed to talking to get to know one another? If so, what will courting consist of in order to establish relationships to eventually become marriage? Great question there, sister.
You want to go, sis?
Right. And
that's a good one.
So what would you define as courtship? I mean,
okay, let me go.
Right, yes.
A courtship to me sounds like time and money. My mom told me when somebody love you and they really want to get to know you, they'll spend their time and their money on you. And that's kind of surface level, but that's how you start. So I believe in being courted. Take me on a date. Show me what's really real. Open up some doors. Come on now. And that's I like old school. I don't know. I'm a little bit old school, and I feel like it goes a lot to say. Not to say that's going to always be my standard, which it pretty much will be, but I'm not going to be unrealistic in that. I think it goes a lot. It goes way further to see a partner go out of their way to show you how much you mean. And it's not always monetary. Sometimes in courtship, I think you get to know a person. They get to show you how much you're worth and how much they're willing to do to get to next level, but also take me out. What's up?
What's the difference between courtship and talking?
Talking is like, I got your number, you got my number, we in contact. I know you like me, you like me.
Yeah.
But after that,
it shouldn't be the same thing, but it's not.
So talking is a real low level thing. It's like, you got my number, I got yours. I think you're attractive. We're texting back and forth. But it's nowhere off the phone.
So y'all know that courtship does involve other people being involved in your relationship to make you accountable.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
So that's a little. You talking is just the two of y'all.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
You know what I'm saying? Do you think y'all should go back to? Have more of that in our community in terms of? Because the question was very valid. How do we get to know each other before we give up the?
I will say it's supposed to be all of that. Now, I mean, you don't have to have titles on it, especially when you're just dating someone, because that's not realistic. But I definitely think dating allows the opportunity for you to find out what you guys like, what you don't like, for you to be observant of, does he pull up the chair, does he open car doors? You won't find any of that on a phone call. None of that. So I think that it's levels. It's the levels of getting to know a person, talking to them. And on the phone, sure, you can do that, but it's also seeing them out with other people. How does he conversate with people? Can he hold a conversation?
Do you like what he got to say in front of other people? Because sometimes I've never been embarrassed before, but I would hate to be embarrassed in front of some people, especially when we're courting each other and you made it my family, you made it my closest friends, and you can't even hold a conversation. That's things for me. Things for me that matter, because I'm a conversationalist. So if we do 2 and 2 next to me and you can't hold the conversation, not even hold the conversation, you're rude and you're a bigot and you talk rude and you cut people off in conversation. Or you can't express yourself. You know, stuff like that. You won't see it till you're out.
Right.
So Sister Mariana said, give 3 basic rules that would serve as requirements besides time and money.
Okay. I'll let you
Give them cover, sister. Give them cover.
Let me make sure I answer them right.
Right. Let me see the question.
Basic requirements that would serve requirements for courtship.
Besides time
and the courtship.
Okay, a clearly stated status of relationship. I think when you're talking, you know you're talking. When you really talking to somebody, it's like, are we talking? What are we? So there's no gray areas. It's a very clearly stated interest is one.
Right. Okay.
A clearly stated interest, 1. 2.
Time and money. That time
requirement for courtship will be demonstrated concern. Okay, that's one thing, right? I can say that, demonstrated concern. Because when you really care about who I am, you'll give the time. When you really care about who I am and you're concerned about my well-being, you'll come and you'll buy whatever I need. So I guess we can say demonstrated concern, clearly stated interest, and
you got to be doing something by yourself. By yourself. That's a requirement for me. I mean, the relationship itself is great, but as an individual, if you're not doing anything, if you have no conversation, then you aren't doing anything for yourself, then we can't even see past what we do.
Exactly, period. So demonstrated success, demonstrated concern, and demonstrated interest. It's about the demonstration.
All of that.
Okay, so some question said, would courtship be exclusive? Like when you're having the courtship with this person, you're not seeing other people. Great question. And I would also say the time part on there. Like how long are you kicking with somebody before you understand?
There's no time. I feel like too. There's not too many rules.
There's not. Right, hold on.
So
right.
What's the question, Mama? So
yeah, she just said, would be courtship be exclusive? Now I didn't get to this question right here.
I think that's to each his own. Because I know people who are in open relationships that are married and that works for them. For Takarra Lee Johnson, definitely. I think if we're going to go be courted and I'm introduced to my parents, my immediate community, my family, there should be nobody else in that.
Right.
Sister Mariana said, great question, sister. Great questions. She said, many can open a door, pay for the day, and hold a conversation. What constitutes courting? How long? Distinctive goals. And I'm with that. Because, for instance, court usually leads to something else bigger. Courtship came out of marriage. I mean, that's how you lead to marriage. That's why you put the word courtship. Talking to somebody, they'll use, sometimes they may not lead to nothing.
Yeah.
But courtship, you usually court with people in mind.
Right.
Like, are you marriage material?
For me, so
that's what
I don't know if I'm answering the question specifically, but for me, like, I wouldn't court someone who didn't want to have children. Also wouldn't court someone who didn't believe in God or didn't acknowledge the higher power or not spiritual. Those are like requirements. I'm talking about those type of requirements for me. Basically, like, you have to acknowledge God. You have to want to have children. You have to honor the union of marriage. Like, those are some requirements for me. I don't believe in putting time on it. Even though I already said time. I don't want to put a timeline on it because sometimes it could be a brother you vibing with since from day one. Like, I know this brother is good. There's other brothers where I gotta see how we act out loud. You know? So I think it's to each his own. Each experience, brings about different requirements. But ultimately, there's a feeling that you feel very secure in, and I think that more than anything, that security, knowing that whoever you're about to go on this journey with got you and you got them.
And I think that time is only a requirement just because you're looking for consistency. Somebody will fake it till they make it. I mean, really blindside you to the fullest. But if you're constantly around them or constantly allowing time for you guys to see each other or get to know each other, that consistency will be there.
Definitely.
So here's the thing, y'all. We got a lot of good. Mama Chrisanne said she got love for you. Mama
hey, Mama.
Love you. So a good question that Danielle put up here, and I love Danielle. She talked about God. You said that as a requirement. Now we get down to the nitty gritty because marriage is a big step. It ain't like we dating and whatever, you cook well and whatever. So she said, where and how do your experience of God, the Most High, overall, where does that fit into the courtship?
Number one.
Right.
Number one.
I will say that a little bit more about my background. So I was raised in a Pentecostal church. I have a Christian background, though I don't identify as like a church-going Christian now, though my roots are in that. So when I talk about God, a lot of my ideas about God and who God is come from the idea of a creator and a creation, and that those people that I connect to most, God has already seen, and God is already sending me to the people I will meet. Be that romantic, be that professional, be that socially, whoever that I meet, I believe that's a divine connection sent directly from the Most High. So my partner and my court, all that has to line up in that. I don't even spend time talking to people I know or don't feel like this is supposed to happen, or this is divine, or this is something I know came directly from God. So I think all of that kind of plays into how we are listening and adhering to the voice of God.
Good question.
The voice of the Most High.
Sorry, I wish I'm sorry. That made me go, woo. So hold on, what about you?
No, it's number one. There's no question about it. If we can't agree on that, everything else, just how you want to raise your children, how you even see me, view me, what's important to you.
How do you know that God is important to a man? Like, for instance, when I interviewed a young lady, and I'm loving this with young folks, and I asked her, okay, she went to church, she goes to church, she believes in God. When I asked her, is that a good place to meet somebody? And she was like, hell no.
Oh, right.
And I was like, whoa.
Okay, people go to church to get blessed, to get in that mindset. So I mean, I wouldn't say that's a dating ground. Like, you can't say that's a dating ground.
That's a good way of looking at it. I like that.
It's a hospital. You'll get
right. So, okay, you said that's so good.
What would I say? I know a man loves God.
How would you know that he loves God?
Because he says it. And I'm gonna say this.
I do say he loves you too.
No, I mean not that he says it. Okay, I get what you're saying, Mom. I think his
I love this guy.
I'm keeping it on my tongue, you know what I'm saying? But I really think that a man loves God because, okay, so it depends on how much you know about God. Like, it's like somebody's telling me they Mama Rose sisters. And there's some things that if you ran with these people and you follow these kind of rules, you kind of manifest these situations. So a man that loves God not gonna make me hate myself or make me feel like I'm inadequate. A man that loves God goes out of his way because he, like, and I will make a lot of different references that are in Christianity because I come from that. But like, you do unto God as you would do unto others, do unto others as you would do unto God. So you do well by me because you love God, and you know that God kind of instructs your life. So you are not going to disrespect or mistreat me because you know that's not how God teaches people how to love other people, or God teaches you how to love her people. So I think in the midst of everything, that godliness about you is a character trait that I'm not the only one you show. There's something about godliness that kind of follows you, and you do that everywhere you go. So even I know a man love God, I know he's really in line with God when other people could see it, not just me. Like if your brothers, your mama, your sisters, everybody know like, oh, this is a God-fearing man, or this is so and so. They can say it and it speaks for itself. Right, so not necessarily him saying it, but like his character kind of presumption that bringing it forth and manifests.
That's you explained that very well.
Yes, you
very
did.
well.
Thank you.
Very well. You answered that really good. Sister Shannon Scott, another great question. Do you think that shows today, like Insecure and She Gotta Have It, influences young girls to see sex as sport, something to do instead of prize?
Come on, Sister Shannon. You better get in these questions, girl.
They're great questions.
Well, that's a great question.
I love Insecure. Go ahead, sis.
Well, do you think that influences us to see sex as a sport
or
something to do?
No, I don't think so. But I'll say love.
Right now, I'm not a fan of television. I'm not a fan of media. I'm not a fan of any of that. I actually try to stay, other than business, I try to stay pretty far away from it just because, as I said before, there are not a lot of good examples of what women should be, Black women should be. So no, I do not. I do think that those TV shows do show examples of women, what women should not be, but make it seem like it's okay. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's okay, especially young women who can be so easily influenced. Okay, I don't like that.
I will say that I'm a fan of Insecure and not a fan of She's Gotta Have It.
Me, I didn't like She Gotta Have It. I thought it was just me. I said, "Oh, you get
no." No. I think Spike Lee tried to do Insecure and it failed. So that's just my personal opinion. I love Insecure for multiple reasons. But to answer the question, I don't think that Insecure makes young women want to have sex for sport. No, I don't. I think that Insecure promotes sexual freedom and less judgment on what we think is right. A lot of our ideas and traditional beliefs about what to do with a woman's body and sexual are based in a lot of these white man religions. So I think that as we kind of open our mind about what we can do with our body, what we have permission to do with our body, and who gets to grant that permission with our body, you see a lot more freedom. But I don't think that the shows is the first person that gets to say that. I think that like the shows kind of give us and show us what that looks like for a woman to give herself permission to do whatever she wants with her body without judgment. I think that's what it is. She Gotta Have It very similar. I didn't even finish She Gotta Have It, to be honest. I watched like one episode. But I got the gist. Like she just has sex wherever she wants to and she doesn't have anybody that she answers to. And I like that in the sense of you setting the parameters and the rules for yourself. That's the principle that I'm coming upon. Like you cannot tell women and police women's bodies on what's right and what's wrong. You can say what's right for your body. But at the same time, sex is a very spiritual encounter, and there's a lot that goes on in your temple. So are they promoting promiscuity at unhealthy rates? That's another question.
Yes.
But they can, but I think what I took from it as a fan of the show was that you can say what's cool and what's not. If you could do a whole nother show about Insecure though, because we really watched that in time. We watched that in the dorms, like y'all, this is deep. But there was a scene in Insecure where she was performing a very specific sexual gesture, and when she got uncomfortable with it, she told Brett, like, this is uncomfortable and I'm ready to go, and she left. So there's just different ways that you kind of you measure what you're comfortable with, and I think more than anything, it just tells young women that you set the rules for all of this, and it's you and no one else.
Sister Danielle said, I wish I had these young women, young sisters when I was coming of age. Me too, girl.
There's ways.
Me too.
There's ways that you can connect and still be of guidance.
We can say when we was y'all age, though, we didn't necessarily have young women like you to help us come of age in a healthy way.
Most definitely.
That's what I'm saying. And so here y'all have found each other. Like, that's beautiful. Most times, it depends on what era you came of age in. We didn't talk about certain stuff.
Right.
There's one scene I seen with this in Insecure that I was laughing. I was like, wow, I've never seen that on
TV.
That's why
Insecure so dope. You know, because she did a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Never did on
but
TV.
people never talk about it. Yeah. Exactly. we experience things, but we never talked about it.
And it's happening. And that's why I think I'm offended insecure,
Right.
because it's a lot of stuff that we're trying to, right, I love it. We're navigating around a lot of stuff blindfolded because nobody really showed us. And not to say that we should put so much pressure on TV and film producers to raise our children, because they promote one thing, but if you really, raise your children according to what you believe, then you won't have to really worry about what's out there. But that's a whole other conversation. But I think that the TV shows us what's really going on. And I'm offended insecure because there's really situations that I've been in. Like she talked about Tinder. Young people are on Tinder, but that's a real thing. People do that. Tinder's a dating site.
Oh God.
It's a dating site, but it's like it's so easy. People just be like this on Tinder all day. It's like Instagram for dating. It's so simple. You just look at people. So but bringing those things to the light and letting young people notice, another thing that we can do to kind of let young people feel comfortable with themselves is that letting them know that what they're experiencing is not bad. Because the reality is, I work with young women that are like 12 and 13 who have already been exposed to sexual activity. So for me to go talk to them like sex is a bad thing, that's gonna make them refrain from talking to Miss TK, because they're not gonna talk to Miss TK. They think Miss TK gonna make her feel bad about already having sex, or she's already sexually activated, or she's been raped, and so she can't even talk about sex anymore because she thinks that Miss TK frowns down on sexual activity. So kind of being open and trying to kind of remain fluid with a lot of that stuff, because our babies see so much stuff so early nowadays. We just gotta be on our toes. Like it can't surprise you no more. It just can't surprise us.
Although there is accountability in raising children the right way or your way, I will say media is there. Regardless, it's 50% the parent and 50% the world. It's just what it is. I mean, when you go to school, people raise their kids differently, so it's just what it is. But I will say it's forcing conversation. If not before the show, after the show, if you have the pre-conversation, at least it's an example of what you should or should not do. But even if you don't have the conversation, it's more so like, okay, you should be available again for people of age or older than the person that's, confused or needs any type of mentorship. It allows a conversation to be had.
Right. Where do you think religion fits in with y'all generation?
I would say I know plenty of people who are still very religious. Some of my most devout, and most wise friends are still very religious. Shout out to Abdul, who's an entrepreneur and also club landowner. He's a devout Muslim, and he goes out of his way to spread his faith. And so I think that while I'm not too religious, there are some people who are still religious, but I don't think that is something that we are pressing toward as much as we pressed toward in the past.
What is religion?
Religion is just like
your definition.
Well, it's a rule book to faith. It's telling you how you should believe, what you should believe, when you should believe, and what it should look like when you believe. It's like really spelled out what your faith should look like in any sense.
What's the difference between religion and spirituality? Are the two interchangeable?
I don't think religion and spirituality are interchangeable. I think spirituality is a direct connection to something greater than yourself, and you acknowledging that. But religion is really spelled out most times by white people. So when we talk about the parameters of our faith and how we minimize or maximize our faith, a lot of that can be seen and observed in religious texts. What we believe and how we believe, a lot of that can go down to just how we practice, can go down to a religious text. So I think religion really spells it out, and spirituality, you kind of just feel that. You just know.
Girl, right. Go ahead, right on the dot. Right on the dot.
Feel that.
Yes.
What about you? Is that definition the same for you?
Yes.
Whatever.
I think we're leaning towards spirituality a little bit more, just because there's so many options. Before it was kind of like you either going this way or that way. Now, I mean, people are creating stuff. I mean, people believe in almost anything. So I think it's kind of difficult to identify with just one. Yes. Just for people who are coming up who probably aren't as traditional as probably the way Takarra was raised. Right. So I definitely feel like, again, it brings conversation. It's conversation.
What is the purpose of religion or spirituality in your life? What is it supposed to help you do?
Religion is supposed to make you be a better person. It's supposed to make you get closer to God.
Maintain your health, your mindset.
What about spirituality?
Spirituality, I don't even know if it has a role, or is it more of a thing you just have? Or is this a trait? Like your spirituality will tell you certain things. Your spirituality will allow you to be more sensitive to different circumstances. I don't know if it's I guess in that sense, religion and spirituality will be interchangeable, because anything that's supposed to be increasing your faith or working towards what you believe should make you want to be a better person. But I think spirituality, because it's more boundless, it's very hard to give it a specific role.
Sister Danielle, I interviewed her last week, and when I asked her that question, because she's in seminary school.
Oh, word.
In New York.
Girl.
Yeah. But what she said makes it really helped me more of a definition. She said that religion is almost like your guide. You pick up a book and it gives you like a guide to where you're supposed to be. Spirituality is your own personal journey and how you're using it to create, like to make yourself more accountable.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So because religion is something we all supposed to wear a white dress, not a white dress.
Right.
But in spirituality, like, yeah, I wear a white dress, but I also know I gotta do these other things to take care of myself. But if you hadn't necessarily had the book to even know that there's someone else, you don't even know. It just kind of helps you to actualize. But it's like more like your personal journey or something like that. She said. Right. It was beautiful the way she said it. And so, and I get the fact that you start to understand that it does overlap. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? She was saying you can have somebody who's very religious and not spiritual at all. Mm-hmm. I think we experience a lot of that. Yep. And you can have some people that's spiritual but just not religious at all. So it really depends.
And I will also say that like when you're religious, they determines practicing religion. So it's like you have a daily routine and you go through these very specific things. Like my very devout Muslim friends, they have a specific way that they pray, different positions, different ways to do it. But there's like rules to this. With spirituality, it's more so of a being. Like even in Christianity, we were taught that you have a spirit man and a carnal man, like a flesh and a spirit. So your spirit is always there. Mm-hmm. And even without those practices, even without those very strict rules, you are a spirit. You are a spiritual being.
Real talk.
Go ahead, Scar.
Better.
Thanks,
my fan.
It was good.
So back in the day when somebody did something, somebody would be saying something, the truth be so heavy, they'd be like, "Ooh, yeah." They have to like, let me cool you off, because you on fire right now. So another question is for young people: do you think there's much difference between what y'all doing and what we did? Because I would just say the outcomes to a certain degree. No, really. Like, like I know y'all have all this technology, but we still have teen pregnancy, we still have drug abuse, we have, marriage. I mean, do you think that, because we'll make y'all think that y'all
it's so different, right? I don't think it's different at all.
But
I don't think it's different at all. We are, but we going through the same stuff because I think when we talk about how do older people and young people bridge gaps, we repeat a lot of the same mistakes because we don't know they occur.
There should be a difference.
Like my family, we have this. My mom said it's a curse of single motherhood in my family because we don't talk about why we become single mothers. We don't ever dissect that. We just kind of keep creating women that have babies without fathers, a present. So I think we have to get into the habit of discussing stuff and really making sure we're doing everything now. Exactly. Back to that conversation. We're doing everything in our power to make sure my daughter's going to do what I did. Also, I do see a lot of the, I don't know if you even asked about this, but a reason why a lot of the same things repeat. I have met older women, for lack of a better word, who kind of just was hating. Like we would say, okay, I'm doing these things. I need this help. And they'd be like, well, figure it out. On the contrary, I have wonderful mentors who so into me, but that's not every woman I meet. Right. There are a lot of ornery, evil, older women that are stopping progress from letting Black women do their thing in the household. In your family sometimes. So I think we just got to be more honest about having conversations, how we enabling or disabling our children by not keeping it real, by not talking about how we're all the same, and not really breaking down those barriers that we kind of sometimes create ourselves. I agree. Just keep it more real.
That was a really good analogy. Do you think some of that stuff is like embarrassment and pain? Because usually when people don't share stuff, they usually very embarrassed. Or they have some shame. Like I was like when people say, I hear sometimes older women say, it's not what people don't say is what they say.
Right.
They're like, now if I had everything, I was a straight A student, whatever, and then I had this baby. They'll skip all the stuff. How did you get the baby?
Right.
Did you meet a dude? Did you fall in love? Did you give up some stuff without, did you break all the rules you had set? Like, we don't talk about all that stuff.
But that's how we stay disabled, to be quite honest. And it wasn't until I went to college and seen different that I came home and was like, okay, Mom,
we got to do some different stuff. And that's real too.
What's this?
It took me going to college and really seeing some stuff to know that there's more out there and to know that there's some stuff that I got to bring back home. Like even Sylviana came back with an investment plan. She was like, girl, we started investing our money. I said, well, let's get on this. Let's figure out how we do it. But it took us leaving and really going to see some new stuff. And then putting each other on. But when we come back sometimes with that knowledge, everybody's not receptive of it. So while I'm eager to kind of put my family on how to get into like investments or whatever, Sylviana gonna teach me when we get off this call. When we get to that, everyone's not eager to do it. So I think it goes back to that kind of the divinity of just purpose and knowing you with the people you're supposed to be with, and then don't trust nothing that ain't supposed to be. And if you know that and you feel that, and that kind of ties back into like the spirituality piece, because when God ordains something, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be seen all the way through. When it's supposed to happen, it will happen. When it's not supposed to happen, it just don't happen. It's just that simple. And so we got to get back to trusting what we know is good for us, not what feels good or what looks good, but what we know is good, and trusting that all the way to the end.
So I heard somebody say once, I hope I say this right, many are told, but few follow through. So all we say, you could tell people all day long. That's the hardest part, I think, of a job, is giving somebody the information when they want to go kick it and go to the club.
Right.
That's why I think it's not much difference, because back in the day we had few people who took care of business. Most people was partying and kicking in and everything else.
Right.
And then there was some people always on their square. Oh, she's and then the table was, man, I learned this. It's like, you ever see a 40-year-old just coming into the knowledge, or a 60-year-old coming to the knowledge, and then they want to talk bad about everybody else? Dude, you spent 60 years bullshitting. Right. And now you want to act like these kids today are other people ain't about that. Dude, you did that for 60 years. You need to be very humble.
Just being honest, I think Ijoma was a person, because we talked about like, what does it take for somebody to be black? All of this racial fluidity and like people being able to just claim blackness as they would like to or whatever. Like, what makes black people black? And Ijoma explains it as a spectrum of authenticity. So at any moment that you stop keeping it real, you gotta go. Because we're really trying to keep it real.
That.
No, we gotta keep it real. Like our experiences that we live, all the oppression that we face, we go through way too much to be trying to hold on to it and keep it a secret and keep it away from the light. Because that's why we move so slow. That's why we move slow. Because we still act like we ain't been through what we've been through. Call that out. Call that demon out, and then get rid of it.
Some of that comes from being hurt by your experiences.
Yes.
And I'm ditto. You girl, ditto. But I think when people lie about what they've been through, it's because really that's your ego that takes over. And I love when people are like, yep, that was me. I did that. Yes, it was. And I keep it real. When people say, well, that was let's talk about something. No, won't you just own up so we can go to the next step? Exactly. And I think we haven't figured that out through all of this time, to just own your stuff. Like, it's really okay. Like, what can possibly happen?
We all have something.
And that goes back to being accountable. I think I do a lot of research on like how slavery kind of affected our behaviors and our responses to like our experiences. So you'll be lying to save your life. Right? If you run away from the plantation and somebody asks you, where you going? To the store? You know what I'm saying? You just start lying just to save your life. So I think a lot of stuff we kind of get in the habit of suppressing truths, doing different type of spiritual or unspiritual acts for survival. We kind of put survival over like honesty, and we put survival over like dignity and integrity. So we have to get out of this mind frame of us still being restrained to the point that only thing we need to do is survive. That's part of it, but there's so much more to that. We got to survive and be dignified people. We got to be honest. We got to survive and take care of each other. Like, there's so much more to it than just us living. We got to get past that.
Okay, this is a really hard question. I think the question may be hard. So, Africanisms or African centricity, Afrocentricity.
Yes, ma'am.
If I get the word.
Okay.
So, when people who have never really been to Africa paint this fantasy of Africa, because they read some stuff in the book and may seen some stuff on Facebook or whatever. How do you deal with when you go to Africa and the reality that you see is not the reality that that you was taught or experienced? You remember at the Black Power Awards the first year, because we rocked the Black Power Awards, and that it wasn't there, but somebody said, look how beautiful you all look. You know, I bet you when people in Africa would be like, we don't even look like it. Was something to where was there better? Okay, I can't remember, but what he basically was saying is that, because you know, we take our African stuff, you know, and we flip it and make it do what it do, because that's what we do as Black people. However, we'll act like that in itself is what Africa is, and most of us have never even been to see. Everybody don't walk around suited and booted like they just came out of an Egyptian. You know what I mean? How do you deal with that? Going to Africa, seeing Africa for what it really is, that they're just as human as we are here. Definitely. It's like looking at colonialism versus enslavement.
Most definitely. I think a lot of that when I came to the realization that everything that I knew or thought I knew was pretty much false, I felt a lot of guilt for even believing some of that stuff. I was very, 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 very observant, and I spent a lot less time talking. Like, I was really quiet. I was walking through just listening and having to soak up a lot of what was going on. And the way that I kind of dealt with that was just kind of understanding. I think, shout out to Auntie Davon, but Davon told me that when you understand who your enemy are, who your enemies are, you understand how they operate, and you start to see everything that they tell you as a lie. So when they tell me something, I will automatically challenge it in my head. An example of that would be when we went to the Cape Coast Castle dungeon, and the tour guide was just telling us, like, these slave dungeons, there was so much that happened, and there was love affairs between enslaved women.
Oh,
and,
Jesus!
Shit like that. So I was like, that's something a white person told you, bruh. There was no love affair, bruh.
Go ahead,
you know what I'm saying?
Go
but you
ahead.
have to learn the language of your enemies. Now, I will say that that's an advantage that we have as a African American people, that we are very close to white people. I didn't see that many white people when I was in Africa because they're far removed.
Not in West Africa.
Right, they're far removed from that.
South Africa.
But when in America, we see white people every day. We know when they lying. We know when they about to start being prejudiced. We can almost smell it.
We know the language.
We were raised next to them. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
we raised them.
Exactly. We have to know how to recognize their language and how to deconstruct their language, so that when they're telling us false stuff and half of the stuff that we begin to believe, that we got to know, bro, if a liar talking is probably a lie.
If a liar's talking, you know it's a lie. Let me write that down. Oh, God. So I'm going to tell you when I seen you do that on a road trip.
Oh, for real?
Do you remember we was in Detroit? And the lady was trying to explain, I think we was in Detroit, and we was at that statue at the water, and I think it was a tour of people there before we got there, and she was explaining that statue that's right there in Detroit that's looking over to Windsor. And I think we were right there, and the lady said slave, and you corrected her and said
slave. That was Auntie Davon. That did that, but I was right there with her. I remember that.
I was like,
but we loud and we cannot. That's a perfect example of how you always have to check what they put out there. Because they're going to make it sound like we was down there shucking and jiving and happy. And we have to speak to our truth of pain, but also speak to our truth of progression. Like, I think a lot of Black people like to struggle because that's all we've ever done, and we know how to do that well. We struggle well. We know how to get a struggle meal. The last food of the month, we're going to make sure we make a bomb meal out of it because we know how to really struggle and survive. But we also have to be able to see ourselves in greater lights with higher expectations, acquiring more knowledge and more abundance. Like, imagine ourselves at the top of our game at all times and get there.
So that, I just thought about that. I can't remember. Okay, they remember that. I just never forgot watching, once you understand the formula, that you're right, we do have to correct people. And most times you have to do that with your own people. Because I ain't never really been around white people that attempted to tell me something. I'll be saying, I'll correct them easily. It's hard to correct people walking around with dashikis on and talking that talk with the medallions on, and they be the main ones cheating on their husband, wife, or just talking all kind of nonsense. In Africa, we was all living in peace. Nowhere on the planet was people ever living in peace. People, warfare and enslavement, that's a part of the human existence, period. Even before the white man crawled up out of Europe. So we don't want to talk about that. That's why we over here set tripping. Because Africans see themselves by tribes. Honestly, that was the biggest lesson for me going to Ghana. Was to see people say, oh, those are the Ashantis and those are the Arabs. And I was like, y'all look Black to me.
Because Black people are diverse, and we sell ourselves short by thinking we all supposed to act one way, or thinking that Black is one subscription, and when you subscribe to Blackness, you subscribe to one form of it, and that's not true. And understanding Blackness as this thing that has kind of been created. But we understand Blackness to be, somebody told us what that means to be Black. Then they called us niggas. Then they called us colors. Then they called, all this stuff is created. And going back to that spectrum of authenticity, like if you on this spectrum of keeping it real and you know your lived experiences are afforded to you because you are a descent of African people, then that's what makes you Black. That's what keeps us real. That's what keeps us connected to truth. It's just connected to culture is what keeps us connected to truth. We got to stop lying, y'all. And we got to stop pacifying people who are not doing their job. We got a lot of work to do. That's the biggest thing I took from Ghana, is that we are a brilliant people and we need to contribute more of our brilliance to helping each other, period. Everything we need, we are. We are everything we need in the community, in the diaspora, everything. But we have to tap into and make it something worth tapping into.
Takarra, you just make me so proud. I'm sitting here like, get it! Like, dude! Wow! I'm so psyched. So before I get to this wrap-up question, I gotta put this out there. So this, I'm saying we're different, but we're not different. Right. So this team, light skin, team dark skin, we've been dealing with that for real, probably since slavery.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just saying, what is y'all resolution to how do we kill that with y'all generation? So we didn't do a good job in my generation. We did not kill it. We didn't kill it when Oscar Michelle was making his black movies, but all the women in the movies were light skin. This is a black man. How do we kill that? Or do you have any proposed suggestions to how we can? Because that has to die in order for us to live differently.
How do we kill that? I think going back to knowing and understanding the behavior of your enemies, the worst thing a black person or oppressed person can do is become their oppressors. So we have to understand that that division is something that's white people. That's a white thing. That's what white people brought to us, like going against each other. And you want specific examples of how white people manifest division, we could talk about that too. But that's something that white people brought about. So when you get away from that and you understand that that's kind of what they brought, you get away from that and you go back to unity and you go back to really feeling like I am everything they are not. I'm the
How do you identify that that's something they gave us? Because you're right on the money. I'm just trying to dig a little deeper.
Because what's the saying? What's closest to white is right. So people would say that. And so light-skinned people kind of, for white people, from what I hear, are less intimidating. They're easier. They're kind of like the buffer race between black people and white people. You told me that. Look, you told me that. So it's like some white people feel more comfortable around light-skinned white people. And when you see a lot of the overseers in the latter years of slavery, post-antebellum, you see like you see a lot of like black leaders were light-skinned and they can get in the door quicker because they were lighter. It was less of a problem for them to get there. So we kind of subscribe to that by only honoring black people who are light-skinned. Black people do that. I watch dark-skinned people tell me that I was too dark, or that you get your little dark ass somewhere. Like there's ways that people black people language. So now you're talking about language. So I think an example of how white people created division would be how in slavery you had to like separate light-skinned people from dark-skinned people. Light-skinned people being in the house and dark-skinned people being on the field. Like those type of mechanisms destroyed people. They divided people, and the way that we correct that and check that is just kind of letting it go. Like there are black dark-skinned women who hate light-skinned women just because they light-skinned and know their life was easier. We gotta get over that.
Or we perceived it was easier.
Yes, we gotta get over that. That's us. Yeah. We do that. We gotta get over that. We gotta also stop favoring light-skinned people over dark-skinned people. My dad is a twin, and he was like the lighter twin. They're fraternal. And his brother was very dark and my grandmother is very dark. So my grandmother favored my uncle who was more dark skinned. So my father then was, came up low-key resenting dark skinned people because he know that they didn't like him. So it's like this he said, she said going on like, no girl, dark skinned people don't like light skin, but no light skinned people don't like dark skin. We both here just not loving each other, living the same life, the same lived experiences as black people, but don't even internally like break that down. So I think we just got to stop subscribing to something that white people created.
And I'm with you on that. What about you? What you think we should do? What you want to add to it?
I mean, as long as we're connected and we're loving each other and we're mentoring one another, I don't feel like any fake hashtags or social media trends at the time can affect what you have.
Right.
So I think it comes into the investment of your people just in general, all people. I mean, all African American people. And so I think that can kill it alone. If we're talking to one another, loving one another, there will be no.
I got a lot of light-skinned friends. I just want to put that out there. They're doing their thing. A black woman that's really like and not tripping off of it. Like it's something we still tripping off of.
I'm brown, I guess you would say.
Oh, so you in that gray area.
Like,
I'm in that gray area. I'm in that gray area, girl.
She brown, girl. She brown. And
but see how you see how this man gets to win because we be so concerned about the complexion.
We do the work for them.
Right. That's a great way of putting it, Takarra. Man. I always learn, and you were saying it too. I just want to be clear. I think we have to kill the language that supports the enemy.
Yes, you're all
so anytime we start talking about, I remember asking black girls in class that you talking to a boy over the phone, and he asked you what you look like. The first thing they describe is their complexion.
Yep.
I was like, wow, that's all we got.
5'2", long hair.
Yeah, so I feel like killing words like fair skin, good hair, I'm mixed, and I mean, y'all don't know nobody. You know, if you know that everybody on the planet came out of a black woman, then you only really mix with yourself.
Right.
But that's a whole other story. Unless there's some power in it, and be honest about that. Don't say you don't. I don't see no color. You know, they remind me of Red Fox. You may not know who Red Fox is. He was famous. He's Sanford and Son. Have you ever watched Sanford and Son?
Yes.
No, have you?
I mean, a couple episodes.
But him. So he's a comedian. But he talked about him growing up. His name is Red Fox, and that had a lot to do with his color. So I'm just saying. So like with us, we have
Detroit Red.
Detroit Red. So with us, it's like we have to kill this thing that can be used as a divisive mechanism with us. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. And also be seeking unity. Make that something you seek to do. Like when I was in Ghana, I met like this group of young men who had like worked in the streets and became street hustlers, but like got out the streets and just hustled legally and worked to live together. So all that they do, they live in one house. They all pay the bills together. They own the land that they built their house on because they came together. We have to look for opportunities to work together. The one way that you don't try to not be something, just be what you want to do. You know, I don't want to not be I don't want to not be mean. I just want to be nice. I don't want to just not be cool. I just want to be good. You know what I'm saying? Just be the things you want to be and don't focus on what we're not doing.
Okay, I have one last question for the close. I'm sorry. Okay, this just totally came up really quick. So there's a video about some Africans. I think these are black people who live in Britain, but I know most of them are from Africa.
Okay.
Because I watch this. I think it's called Black. No, this one is called Talk Black or Talk Back, and they have like the first ones I seen was in London, and then they had the American. But I kind of like tuned out because after a while, this sound like bullshit sometimes. However, there was a group of African descended people who were living there in London, but they really are. Their parents are from Africa. I get their backgrounds. They said they feel like African Americans are appropriating African culture, even though all the girls in there had weaves that was ridiculous. Not weaves like it could have been hair. Ridiculous weaves. That's the first thing I said. It's like, you know, so how can you talk about African Americans misappropriating something that's theirs anyway? But how would y'all feel about that? Do you think African Americans misappropriate African
No, I don't.
culture?
I don't. I think that I can't even be mad at African people for saying that because they believe the same lies we believe. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't think we're them, they don't think we're them either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I don't think people understand that there is a difference between African American people and African people. Just like like I said, it has everything to do with getting educated. I mean, why do you feel that way? Asking questions. You know, what exactly made you feel that way? What exactly is your culture? Is it just your culture as an individual, or is it a culture of your country? Like, what exactly are we looking at here? I think it's really digs deeper than just that.
Most definitely. And
you know what somebody told me? What somebody said? Gloria Lindo, who's an Afro-Cuban woman. Love you, Gloria Lindo. I asked her once, and I asked all my people of African descent in the diaspora this question. What do you think the difference is between being Afro-Cuban and me being African-American? You know what she tells me? Our oppressor is what makes the difference.
Right.
And what that means is that most of the ideas I come to know is what I learned from this system that I went to school in, which was controlled by white people.
Right.
Same thing. When you hear Africans talk that in Africa, that's not coming from the ancient text. That's coming from the Queen's English or France or whoever was the Belgium, whoever was the colonizer. That's probably the only difference we really have, honestly.
Really don't.
You know what I'm saying?
And until we speak and engage in conversation, we look the same to other people who aren't educated at all.
I agree.
So,
I agree. What you want to say, so I just throw that out there.
No. What was I going to say about the idea of black people appropriating? I think that just goes back to us not understanding that we all come from one source, and that we have to acknowledge that black people, when you see black skin, just know that that's a survival of everything that black people went through. And that's not exactly what I was going to say, but just remember that, y'all, that remember that we are all one people. And to the African people or the people from Africa that think that African American people can appropriate African culture, I think I seen way more similarities than differences while I was in Ghana, down to our staple foods, what we eat, how we honor our ancestors, how we talk, how we laugh, how we like to be together and we're not apart. Individualism is a Eurocentric thing. We are very communal people. We work together. We work better together. That's why Mama invited me, and I brought Sylviana. Like, I can't go by myself.
We just talked about a word that I never hear Jamil was just talking about that yesterday.
Okay.
Individualism.
Most definitely.
And it seemed like in your generation,
that's all we do.
That seems like I see a lot of that.
That's definitely, because we don't know that we're African people. And I think and going to college and going to a predominantly white institution, it's taught me that a lot of people don't understand they're Black until they get around other Black people. Like it takes some of these girls that was raised in Orange County to come to UC Davis in Northern California and meet some Black people that was raised around Black people to say, like, sis, you're Black.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying?
Did you know you Black?
And you don't know until you're with us, and we kind of discover our identities in communal settings.
And see, I've had a different college experience. I attended HBCU, and to be quite honest, it's almost contradictory a little bit, just because we're very close when it comes to competing against somebody else, somebody that's not African American or anything of that sort, or not alumni of Hampton or wherever you attended. But I will say, within our university, there's so many divisions between what you look like, where you're from. I mean, I'm at Black, and I came from California into the HBCU. Oh no, you're not from the DMV. You're not from the South. Like, okay, well, hold on. Right. You know, there's not too many people that attend an HBCU from California because they don't probably know what it is. But I'm still African American, you know? So I think even going back to my business, that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it very inclusive, where we're finding the skill sets of African American people within each other and helping nurture that and create success, ultimately.
I love that. What's the name of your business?
Prodigy.
Prodigy. How can people find out more about Prodigy?
Yeah, so Prodigy, you can go on either our Instagram at the Prodigy, PRO.
Wait a minute. You said, so if I was looking for what would I be typing?
So
okay, I heard the.
If you're going on Instagram, we have a Facebook page too. So on Instagram, it's the TH.
Hold on. Let's do Facebook. If we're on Facebook.
Okay, Prodigy.
So
PRO.
DYGII.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it on Facebook?
That is.
Prodigy.
And then I'll post a link as well when I come look at the video.
Okay, good, y'all, because she's going to put this. Y'all got to support this system.
You got to.
Yes.
And so, look. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You want to tell what it is?
Nope.
Okay, so basically Prodigy is a business development, genius development website. We're turning into an application, but right now we have a website. And basically what we're doing is we're identifying potential mentors within your area based on your industry, experience, and your interests. So say, for instance, you want to learn investment, or say, for instance, I want to learn more about any industry. I'm a business major. But I don't know where to start, or maybe I don't know if my resume is good enough, or I don't even know what to wear to the interview. We have people who are already in the industry, successful people, most on Forbes, most already doing great things within their business and community, coming back, reaching back, and giving people advice, tips, networking opportunities, and even job postings. So it's a great thing that we're really doing. Tap in. Your kids, tell them to tap in. Prodigy on Instagram and Prodigy on Facebook.
Dropping January 15th, y'all. It's a big launch. We're supporting us all the way to the top. So make sure y'all tap in real.
Thank you.
What about you? Tell us about your business.
Okay, hey girls, so good. My business is really not even a business; it's a movement, and it's called it's called West to West. While I was in Ghana with my sister Tia, we had really honestly internalized the fact that we are way more alike than we are different. So with our movement, it is literally that. We want to take, the next time I go to Ghana, I will be taking people with me. I will be kind of curating an experience, not really a tour or a trip. Mama Ro gave me the word of journey. We're going to have curated journeys back to the motherland through the eyes of myself and my sister Tia that kind of help people realize and actualize their place on the continent. So our first destination will be Ghana, because that's somewhere I've had the privilege of being able to go and kind of navigate and help people see that. But we plan to expand our brand wide across the continent to kind of show people like this is where and this is how Black people are the same everywhere. So West to West, dropping in the latter of the year, 2018. We haven't really set up our official launch, but this is something that just came as a way. I had the vision in my trip. I just got back, and me and my sister kind of getting the groundwork together. But it's called West to West. It'll be curated life journeys back to the motherland, supported by yours truly.
So I tagged on here Takarra Johnson's movement is called West to West.
Yes.
Back to the motherland.
Yes, ma'am. That's
okay.
it.
So you can go in and add in anything else in it. And thank you for putting that Prodigy thing. I love it. I love it. Okay. Why wasn't my she said, why wasn't my passion on fire at this age? Girl, we were trying to survive them 80s and 90s. That's what I believe.
But it's not too late. It's not too late.
That's Deborah who just left out of here.
Hey, Dad!
Yeah, Deborah do so much stuff. But I think when we see y'all, and that's what I believe, I really do believe you don't have to wait till you get 50. That's another lie that we bought into. Like when you're young, you're supposed to be doing nothing and fooling around and doing just a bunch of bullshit. Like somehow we sold y'all that bill of goods.
Right.
We sold y'all that. Meanwhile, you look at the Olsen twins and other people twins. They can now in their age they can go do other stuff that now we're fighting to catch up on.
Right.
So seeing y'all lets us know, like, no, you could be young and be on the ball. You don't have to wait till you get 50 years old or 30 years old to get passion. You can have passion in your life when you're 15 and make it happen. You know?
And also, you need to be cultivating passion, because I don't know who I would be if I wasn't guided by this woman right here. Like, straight up, anything that Mama Ro posts, just drop the money for the GoFundMe, okay? Because she
share, like,
Rose coming up.
Real talk, like, Mama Ro never is only a call away if you need anything. Mama Ro's really one of the people who like, Mama, I ain't got no sheets on my bed. All right, baby, I'm going to Walmart, see what they doing up there. Anything, I'm hungry. I need a massage. She got you.
Yeah, so I walked in here, saw that they were talking about the ancestry thing. I'm like, oh, I always want to do it. Popped up with the kid.
Right.
I'm listening to DNA today.
Mama Ro got you. It's so like,
we gotta do it.
You gotta do it, and it's a practice, y'all. It's really about getting our feet wet. It's done for ideologies and theories. We got a lot of those. We really need people in the field. We got kids out here really getting killed, and that's what I want to say before I left. But a lot of babies in Sacramento are being killed. That we don't know how to come up from trauma and grief, and we need people that's there listening and support, that know, not to say that we know what to do, but we're here with you in it. Because we're losing friends that we know, that we don't really know how to kind of decipher through this grief. A lot of people is dying, so live every day like it's your last.
And stop,
because it might be.
Yes, and stop the generational curses. If there's something you're struggling with or don't know, or you just are interested in, tell us. I mean, there's so much about financial literacy that I didn't know that I need to get on, how to make your money work for you, how to invest now so you can benefit later. All of that I wouldn't have known if my mom wasn't honest with me.
Right.
Hey, I don't know this. This is something that you need to look out for. This is something that you need to invest in now.
Let the pride go. We ain't got nothing to be proud of, and we need to be more proud of helping our babies. If you're gonna have some pride, let it be about something that's actually working. We are very proud people, and I think that's something we have to learn to become, because our value was always taken from us. So we just learned to kind of put a proud face on, but we don't have no proud work ethic. We don't have no proud investment. We don't have no proud really spirit. We need to make sure that we really getting back to being real through and through, not just on the outside, not just for the aesthetic. Really going the mile and letting your work speak for itself. That's what I'm trying to become. Not to say that I got it together or anything like that, because that's what I'm striving to do. But I really want to see like a community of people that want to see us thrive. And it's not no hating, and it's not no older people that's scared to see if we're gonna be bigger than them or nothing like that. Like, we really want to put all of our people on.
Time is moving, the generations are going, and if you aren't supporting people like us, then those who don't look like us is making it to the top.
No,
and those
for real,
are
because Jewish people put their kids on, Asian people put their kids on, Italian people and Mexican people, they put their kids on. If they don't give them their first job, they probably give them the job they're gonna have for the rest of their life. So I think we people, especially Black business owners, Black young professionals, Black people who are actually got the capacity to give people this knowledge, give it to them straight up and direct. And I'm blessed to say I'm a product of people who have invested in me, but I'm only, like she said, there's not a lot of people like us. That's a shame, especially when all these Black people got power, and a lot of Black people, we had a whole Black president. And you know, we got to figure out, stop looking at ourselves through a lens of deficit as a people, what we don't have, what we can't do. It's a lot that we can do. It's a lot that we can do. We are capable of being everything we need.
And
so
the time is now.
The time is now. You feel me? Follow me on Instagram, KariJ97.
You should go and tag that on there, so people know how to follow. Gotta follow these young people. Gotta support these young people.
All the information's on there.
Like the page. I'm gonna drop some music. I'm turning 21 in a couple weeks. It's a good year, y'all.
Leave us with something. I mean,
what? You want me to rap?
The piece or sing or whatever you want to do.
Okay. Yes, I do. No, I need the mic. I need the mic.
I know we had
church.
Go ahead, Takarra. Look right in that camera and give it to us.
What's most appropriate. Okay. It ain't worth your tears. It ain't worth your pain. Every time you see them throw a smile on your face, they don't want to see you shine. They just want to see you fold. If you gon' rock, then rock 10 toes. It ain't worth your tears. It ain't worth your pain. Every time you see them throw a smile on your face, they don't want to see you shine. They just want to see you fold. If you gon' rock, then rock 10 toes. Baby, rock 10 toes and let the haters get to you. They out there living life while you out here living miserable. Keep your chest up, get the rest up. You ain't messed up. That's a hater in your ear trying to block your bless, son. The closest people to you want to see you fall. Wish me bad, but I'm the queen. I'm about to set it off. And swallowing my pride only got me so far. Now my vibes high like a girl in a hot box. See, I was that girl, young and naive. Only show love, would give everything. Surrounded by the snakes that I didn't even peep. While I was steady grinding, they were speaking on me. I get paid for my words. They were speaking for free. And why they hate is not a mystery. I'm the realest it can be. Down to earth like the soil. Everybody love me. Call yourself a sister, but you never really love me. That's that.
Yes. You better get it, Takarra. I'm over here like,
But yes, no, SoundCloud. That's what SoundCloud. I'm dropping the mixtape. Y'all just stay tuned. We doing real big stuff. Like, we're not trying to be mediocre in no way.
No.
In no way. We trying to be the best we can be. Thanks for having us, Mama.
Yes.
Thanks
no,
for having
seriously.
us.
And it was so nice to meet you.
We're staying connected.
Yes. So I'm gonna give y'all the same offer I gave Deborah. Y'all need to be thinking about on the weekly or maybe by however you want to do it. Y'all got to produce something. Y'all got to use this social media. That's another way of building up your platform. I don't care if you do a 30-minute lesson on finances or how to save or how to put $10 away every week or whatever. Got to use this medium, y'all. Because we know imagery is something that impacts Black people. We know that. So my thing is, we could show all kind of fight videos and that bullshit go viral. We need to make our stuff go viral, which is meaningful. And I'm gonna tell you this: people listen to this, they do share. I get like a gang of hits, so it's like, okay, we have to now control the image that people see of us. It'd be different if we didn't have any control. This has evened up the game a little bit in terms of
we can put
you can turn off that channel 0 and watch something that's more. So I'm giving y'all the same challenge. Y'all need to come and what you gonna put up? You gonna showcase young people? You gonna talk about your trip to Africa? You gonna do a slide presentation? What you need to do, and I can help you do that. We got to impact social media with imagery of Black people that's doing something. Because you're absolutely correct. Black folks, we're not at a deficit. We done made it through all the hell that America has thrown at us, and we still here. That's not a deficit, people. That's resilience. So, but somebody sometimes have to give us the call, like, showcase your greatness. So same thing to y'all. However you want to do it. It could be 30 minutes, girl. That'll go around like this. I'll be sharing that like boop, boop, boop. Support this sister. Share her stuff. We got to do it because we know that. I think there's more Black girls like you than we know. Or Black girls who want to live out loud but just don't see like, how do I get started? I know when I see people on point, it makes me be more on point.
Definitely.
It makes me stand up a little taller or continue a little more.
Right.
So same challenge to y'all. Thank you, ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I love this, y'all. Okay, I'm leaving out with my quote by Marcus Garvey. Up, you mighty nation. Accomplish what you will. Peace, and we out of here.